Hi everyone, good morning. I'm at Yale and I'm a World Fellow here along with Thynn Thynn Hlaing. And we are here for the first inaugural session of my new Facebook Live series called Amazing Grace. And the reason for this is I meet several amazing women and men, but this podcast or this Facebook Live rather is focused at only women and showcasing their stories and their extraordinary initiatives around the world. And so today, this morning at New Haven, joining me is Thynn Thynn Hlaing, who is a World Fellow. She's from Myanmar, but I'll ask her to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. And my name is Thynn Thynn Hlaing. I am from Myanmar and also known as Burma.
And how long have you been a development professional? Tell us a little bit about your work life.
So before talking about my professional career, I would like to also talk a bit about myself, who I am. So Myanmar is located in Southeast Asia. And we have 55 million population, so which is not a small country, and we have more than 135 ethnic groups. So the group which I belong to is called Shan. I am a mother, I'm a wife. So this is very much my background. In terms of my professional career, I consider myself as a development professional. I have been in this development field for over 17 years. My initial assignment has been very much based in my country, but after good amount of experience that I obtained from Myanmar program, I had an assignment in Sri Lanka, also in Cambodia, and after Asia region, I expanded my territory to West Africa, where I was based there for almost 6 years. So I just finished my assignment in Sierra Leone, and I work with an organization called Oxfam, which is a non-governmental organization from UK. So I work with that organization for almost 10 years.
Great. So Thynn Thynn again is from Myanmar, Burma, neighboring country to India. She is a development professional of more than 17 years across several countries, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, and for the last 6 years, West Africa. She was the country head for Oxfam in Sierra Leone. What are the 3 adjectives, Thynn Thynn, that describes you?
Oh, interesting question. I would say that I'm very ambitious, and also I'm very passionate, and also I'm fun. So I would say ambitious, passionate, and fun.
And that's so amazing because ambition is not a positive adjective that is associated with women, but I know this lady and she's very gracious. She's absolutely a lot of fun, and she is definitely very, very stylish. So you can be everything and still have ambition. Thynn Thynn, what excites you about your work? What keeps you up, gets you out of bed every morning and keeps you up awake at night?
I come from a marginalized population in my country. So since I was young, I have seen, poor people, also, people are suffering. So that gave me a motivation to work for, poor people. So since I was young, I was a, Red Cross volunteer in Myanmar. And so being a development, aid worker, whenever you go and implement your program, in the beginning of, our implementation, we see, the way they live, the situation. So through our implementation, when we go back for another monitoring visit, I could see that how much we have contributed to bring a positive changes for the poor people life. So that gave me a pride to see okay, you are doing a meaningful work, you are trying your level best to contribute back to the your own society or wherever there is a need.
Yes, absolutely. And whilst I continue to ask Tintin questions, if you have any for her on her development experience or her experiences as a woman leader, please don't hesitate to type it in the comment section and we'll pick it up from there. But coming back to my next question, Tintin, as a development professional, how do you bring communities together? Because you said you worked for the very marginalized and the vulnerable. So how do you, what are the strategies that you employ to bring communities together?
So we, as a a development agency, we work in many different community. So we need to make sure that we become a bridge for those community. We create a link. We create a network for the community to talk about their own issue. Because a lot of commonalities and also a lot of differences. So people could learn from each other and also could share their experience and also bring, I would say, collective voice. To challenge their government, to challenge policy maker. So where one person talking and when hundred and thousand of people talk about one particular issue, that where people are empowered and they can ask what they need for their own community. So I think they shouldn't work in a silo, or we shouldn't work in a silo, because we have knowledge, we have experience, we have a bigger coverage in terms of the geographical location. So we better create the advocacy platform for community to be able to engage each other and ask for the change.
Yes, finding common ground is so essential. I find across cultures there's always something to find, something to agree on. We tend to focus on disagreements most often, but searching for common ground is so essential, and collective voice.
Yeah.
I have found that using the collective power of women, or as gender activists or any other kind of development professionals, you can bring your collective experience to the table, but also use your collective voice to push for change, whether it is legislative or at the grassroots level. Now I would like to ask you, you have a family. You started saying that you're a mother and you're a wife. So how hard was it for you to take up a posting outside of your country or outside of your region and go to a place like West Africa, which is, from my previous aviation experience, is really hard to get to because there are not very frequent flights. So how do you manage it, and how what helped you, make this transition?
It wasn't an easy decision. I wanted to take my daughter to Sierra Leone, but we couldn't find school provision for her. But the thing is that, my family, they are very supportive, so I wouldn't, able to, take that position, without support from my late mother and also my elder sister and my brother and my husband. They look after my daughter when I was away. So a great support that I have from my family. But the thing is also, you try to achieve, out of your career where there is opportunity, you should take granted for it. So what I did was I create kind of my second family in Sierra Leone. So I have a huge network and I have many good friends who I consider, like my, close, family or, friends. So I make sure that I have a work-life balance. And when I was away from my family, I have kind of nice time with the people who I can, talk through and have fun with. And then also I met with my family on a regular basis. So every 3 months, my husband and daughter, they came and see me in Sierra Leone, or I went back home on a 3 months basis. So which was very manageable. That's why I was able to complete my assignment for almost 5 years. I had a beautiful time in Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone is a very beautiful country. They have a nice beaches around. I like jogging, so like I go to the beaches on a weekly basis. So yeah, it has been a wonderful time in Sierra Leone.
You know, Tintin, you make it sound like it's really normal for a woman to, take up a position in West Africa and leave her family behind. I can tell you there are very few women who have the courage to do what you did. And I'm happy that you can share your experience, because we need more such examples where families support each other, but also husbands allow their wives to pursue their ambition without feeling threatened. I feel there are a lot of women who give up their dreams and ambitions because they do not have the right family support. And I'm so glad that you were able to have this experience. I'm sure it wasn't easy, but I know you and your daughter have a very close relationship. So I'm sure that if you put your strategies in place and have your support systems both for yourself and your family and your children, then nobody has to be a loser. It's a win-win for everyone. So coming back, we have our first question. What are your main sources of motivation in life? And this is from another world fellow, Ibu, from neighboring country, Senegal.
My motivation come from, seeing the way people have been, empowered. In Sierra Leone, I manage a huge program during Ebola time, and in total, we had like 450 staff. It was very demanding and challenging job. But also I look at within my team who are potential to grow and to take over the senior management role. So I put many of my national staff on succession planning. And then, after my departure, and I saw like the way they have, developed it, and, they are now, holding a big position. So that gave me a motivation, because sometimes we feel like we are immortal, like we can do everything, whatever we want. But now, the more you get older, and now we need to really think through how are we going to, transfer our knowledge and experience to the younger people. And in a way, you can leave the legacy, and you can let the people take over, the responsibility. So I think, working with the people for their, further development, that gave me a lot of motivation.
So there are two things that I want to talk to you about. One is, tell us a little bit about your experience during the Ebola crisis, because, it was a super crisis affecting Sierra Leone, and I'm sure you had a major role to play in implementing the programs on the ground. And the second is succession planning. I find a lot of leaders want to sit on their chair and never give it up. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I can see some of my ex-staff from both the aviation as well as my current work on this chat. And I know I did my best in succession planning and grooming the next line of leadership. So I'm interested to hear about how you did it as well. So if you can talk a little bit about your role in the Ebola crisis and how you managed it for your team.
So initially, we didn't think that, we could do something for that, public health emergency outbreak, because Oxfam traditionally, we do very much, other different type of disaster response. So we even, put our program on hibernation. But the situation, became very out of the control. So we got a lot of pressure from the government, also from the community. So we have to do something. So what we did was we look at that, what kind of added value, we could make it, in order to control the virus spreading. So like Oxfam, we are a WASH, agency, water, sanitation, and hygiene, specialist, I would say. So we, implemented our program very much on the WASH intervention. So we built, more than 50 Ebola holding center, treatment center. We're very much working in the green zone. So we don't do any frontline medical activities, but we scale it up for a WASH intervention, because in Sierra Leone during Ebola time, there wasn't enough, medical facility, even though, positive, Ebola patients were found, there was nowhere to put them, in order to quarantine them. So we build up those, facility in many remote area across the country. And also we did, countrywide social mobilization, program, because there was also a behavior change, issue in Sierra Leone. Even though there was, medical facility, people didn't come forward. So we walked through with, our community organization, doing very much, house to house, case finding, contact tracing. So yeah, that was our main intervention during Ebola crisis. And yeah, I remember like 24/7 we've been working, but I had a great team.
And you could have run away to Myanmar. Why did you stay? You didn't have to stay. It was not your country.
I know. But like the humanity, you have commitment to work and serve for that poor community. So I cannot simply pack and run away. And yes, we had a very good conversation with my family and my husband, whether it is really wise to continue, or would there be any personal risks. I myself during Ebola time, when I got fever or like shivering or running my tummy, I felt like, oh my god, I might have Ebola. So also very paranoid. But as I said, Oxfam, we didn't had a program in a red area, so very much safe, and we implemented that program for almost 2 years, and none of our staff got Ebola infected. So yeah,
you're very brave. In addition to being beautiful, you're also very brave.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about your succession planning strategies?
Yeah, so when you work in a one particular workforce, you see they are very potential people and who can learn and grow into the certain senior level position. Especially you are the expatriate, and we talk about our country ownership, having more national staff in the strategic level discussion, so you can drive your program in a successful way. Otherwise, all the foreigners, they come and work for their own program, so there could be a kind of disconnect between strategy and the people. So by having the succession planning, you could have a two benefit. One is also for the personal interest. In a way, you can also retain good staff, and on the one hand, also there is a local ownership. So they feel like this is our program, they can make extra effort, So I think also, creating a healthy working environment that people feel that they are valued, they have a forward looking, and, they can have an inspirational aspiration, in terms of their career progression within the organization.
Great. So, to all the young girls out there, what is the advice that you would like to give them?
Okay. Being a woman, traditionally we have insecurity. One is come to leadership issue. So my suggestion is that you can be a leader if I can be a leader. Why not you? So you need to identify what kind of skill set you need to develop further. It could be technical skill set. It could be software skill set, how to work with people who have different preferences and different ways of working. So look at both skill set and competency. Where do you want to achieve, and work on it, and be open to listen different opinion, and also to learn, open to learn, also open to get good advice from the people, and whenever there is the opportunity.
And as a World Fellow, how would you describe this experience personally and professionally? Because we are on a pause, right? And you especially have taken a career pause. So what's next for you? And how is this experience helping you?
Yes, as you rightly said that, I was working over 10 years continuously without a break.
Wow.
So this is a pause, and very, valuable, and I have a lot of time to have a good reflection, what I want to do next, And the thing is also, Yale University and it is very much like kind of knowledge hub. Of course, can be academic thinking, but a lot of intellectual stimulation, looking at the problem from the different and multi-dimensional way. So in total, War Fellow, we are 16 coming from different background and different fields and expertise. We all are somewhat outstanding leaders in our particular field. So being part of that excellent group, even from us each other, we learn a lot. And also everyday basic, we have a guest speaker who are could be politician or like social change maker, many leaders who come and share their experience to us, so you can learn a lot. So this is one part of the beneficiary that like a learning exercise that I have been doing and looking from the different angle. And the second beneficiary is, as I did mention before, sharing our own experience and knowledge to the younger generation, nurturing their knowledge and experience, because like this is academic atmosphere, so sometimes their thinking can be very theoretical. So by having us here in the discussion, they can transform that technical thinking into practical and realistic term. So I felt like also we have contributed back to that key community, working with the younger generation who are going to be a leader in future. But the most out of it is being closer to my daughter, who is next to my town. My daughter is studying in Boston. So this is a plus.
Her daughter's studying in Harvard. Her daughter is at Harvard and the mother is at Yale. How cool is that?
So like we meet every day, every three weeks basic. So which is beautiful, and the most out of it. And last but not least, reflection time. And I have been thinking, what should I be doing next for my future leadership journey.
Yeah. Okay, so if any of you have a question for Thynn Thynn, please put it in the comment section, because we are winding up really quickly. But I want to ask you, thus far in this program, what is the one thing that has stood out for you?
Oh, I would say the Yale atmosphere, which is very privileged and extraordinary. The architecture here is very beautiful. The old buildings are from like 19th century. So sometimes like walking in a dream.
So we have a message from Ellen Mains, who's an Australian and one of my Rotary Peace Fellows based currently in Myanmar. And she says Myanmar could really do with your leadership right now. Are you planning to return? We are forcing her to return. Also, there are currently significant changes afoot in terms of gender equality in Myanmar and the economic political situation. What role do you think Myanmar women can play in positive change in the country? And I think that's a very relevant question right now.
Yeah. I think that question is relevant to not only to Myanmar, I think across the globe. The reason I resigned from Sierra Leone job was I wanted to be closer home. And I was in West Africa for 6 years, but don't get me wrong, I'm very privileged, having that experience. But we also do have the similar problem and issue in my country and in our part of the world. So I want to serve my people back, but I don't know where and how. And I'm being thinking through it. And I will let you know, or once the plan has been materialized. In terms of women empowerment and women, I would say political leadership role, especially in Myanmar, is the yet to grow, because if you look at the percentage of women political position in that sphere is very limited. I think less than 5%. So we need to let a young woman come forward and be confident and to be able to stand for the a position where they are passionate about.
And in closing, give us one sentence to inspire everyone.
You know, I'm a social activist, so I would like to call everyone, especially, you know, young women, not to be shy, you know, be courageous, you know, to work on peace and justice issue for the poor people and marginalized people, especially women, and, you know, working together we can achieve more.
Well, thank you, Thynn Thynn, for this wonderful conversation. You know, she is really reflecting on what's next for her, and we wish her all the very best in bringing back her huge experience to her country, Myanmar. I'm sure she will do, you know, something amazing, and young women will definitely benefit from it in her country as well as others. Thank you for joining, and stay tuned for the next Facebook Live, which is with another World Fellow next Tuesday. But please say bye to Thynn Thynn.
Thank you, everyone, and I hope that, you know, our conversation has been inspirational, and all the best, and bye for now.
Yeah, and you can contact her, you know, through Facebook. I've tagged her, so you can DM her or write to her, you know, through the World Fellows site at Yale.
Bye. Everyone.